February 25th, 2021. Let the record show that we do have a quorum with all members present. This is the public hearing for, what do I need to read here? The Texas Academic Performance Reports for the year. And do we have any public comments, Madam Secretary?
Madam President, we do not.
Okay, no comments. All right. Do we need to do a countdown or anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. In that case, with no comments, questions or comments from the board?
We do have a presentation, a
Do you have a
PowerPoint.
presentation? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, then let's do that.
Dr.
For sure.
Sham is going to go through the presentation.
Yeah, how about that?
Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. Tonight we are fulfilling a requirement, and that is that we have to present on the table report for the 2019-2020 school year. And so with that, I will begin. So again, like I said, this is to fulfill a requirement. And so I'd like to start off by letting everyone know what exactly is TAPER. TAPER is designed to pull together PEANS and student assessment data related to school districts, programs, and student performance in one report. And so I know all of you have had an opportunity to receive the report, and also hopefully were able to go through it. When you're going through the report, the TAPER report, it contains information on the district STAR, EOC performance and participation. You will also have information on the Student Success Initiative, district attendance, graduation and dropout rates, district college, career, and military readiness information, district student information, district staff information, and also financial standards report. So all of this information is included in the TAPER report. So one of the things in addition to presenting on the TAPER report, you also have to make sure that it's accessible to the public. So if you go to our TEA website, you can also access it there. Just go into TEA, and then there's some screens where you can enter Flower Bluff schools, and you can enter the district, or you can enter a certain school, and you can do this for any school district in the state of Texas. Okay. So, next please. So our accountability rating for the 2020, we were not rated, and that was declared because we were declared a state of disaster. In March of 2020, Governor Abbott suspended the STAR test for the spring 2020 semester. Following that, in April of 2020, Governor Abbott, he had all the schools closed. So because of the circumstances at that time, that's why the schools were not rated. And so we are still with the 2018-19 accountability rating of an A. Okay.
On that slide, just a question. It says 2020 special education needs intervention, though.
Yes. Now that is due to our results-driven accountability, and so that is another report. And what that report looks at is special programs and special populations. And so because of those certain indicators that were either a performance level or 2, we did have to complete an RDA accountability report. And so just to kind of, before I go into further down the PowerPoint, tomorrow we actually have a meeting with TEA. And so we will be talking about our targeted focus plan. And so we have a plan of action. So, but that is something that we will get every year in terms of our special education program and how we're doing in that area. Okay. Okay, and so what is different this year? So like I said, due to the shutdown of Texas schools, there were no STAR or EOC scores to report for the 2020. However, we were still able to report on the graduation rates, the CCMR, program counts, enrollment totals, staff totals, financial standards. All of that was still reported for this coming school year. Okay. So with that in mind, I'd like to highlight some of the areas that were reported for the school year. So Flower Bluff, overall, Flower Bluff ISD students were more likely to graduate college, career, and military ready in 2019. We graduated 5.2% more in 2019 than we did in 2018. Okay, next. Also, we grew the percentages of college-ready graduates in every measure. And if you look at the bottom of the chart, those measures included TSI in both subjects, dual credit, AP with a 3 or higher, and of course the on-ramps as well. And I do want to indicate that our scores are actually pretty good. When you look at like some of our competing campuses or competing school districts such as Calallen and GP, we did exceed in all of those areas. Next, please. Military readiness graduates. And so here you're looking at career or military readiness, which we were definitely higher. Actually, we were higher in every area. The only area that we were not, we did not do as well as we did in 2018 was completed IEP workplace readiness grads, and that has to do with our special education population. Okay.
Dr. Shum, on the approved industry-based certifications, those are our programs where they graduate or when they leave that program, there is a certification in hand or a licensure?
Yes, like our nursing, our science nursing program, yes.
Okay.
Yes, or CT, yes. Okay, and then also we, in the taper, you also get a information on program counts. So if you look at this chart, you're basically looking at the participation of students in each program. For bilingual, we had 166, which we are below the state percentage. Career and technology or technical education, 528. We are above the state in that area. Gifted and talented education, we have a total count of 693 students. We're above the state rate in that. And then special education, we're at 690 students, and we're above the state in that program. Next. Another area of information that's provided in the taper report is enrollment. And so I could have just given you, the count for this year, but I thought it would be nice to kind of see a longitudinal pattern of where we're going. And surprisingly, even though enrollment has been down, we were up for 2019, the 2019-2020 school year. And so junior high, not junior high, but excuse me, the high school was at 1802. Junior high was at 957, intermediate 879, elementary 823, primary at 792, and ECC was at 488. And so our enrollment for the 2019-2020 school year was 5,751. And I went ahead and wanted to know what was our enrollment for the current as of today. So our current enrollment for today is 5,460. And that is our current enrollment. Okay, next. Other information that you can find on the taper report is the average class size for every single grade. And so what you have here is, the count, and relatively it's been pretty much the same. I think there was an increase second grade with 27. Wait, that is not correct. And I remember that was reported incorrectly to PEEM, so I apologize for that, but that is not correct. But like I said, everything pretty much has been the same. Very few change in the average class size. And K through 4, we do have a cap of 22, but with our District of Innovation, we did cap it at no more than 23.
So is the number for the 2018-2019 incorrect as well, or is it both of those 20? It says 26.3 and 27.
Yes.
Both
Yes.
of those.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Who generated this report?
This is generated from the campuses,
Oh.
and so it was. It's incorrect. So we will have to see how we can get that fixed. And I think we did contact about getting that correct, but I think it was after the submission date. And so, and again, we'll have to work on that.
Yeah, that probably would raise some red flags.
Definitely, because we would be out of compliance because of the cap of the 23.
And is this posted on the website now that we're having this?
Yes, ma'am, because this is, if you look at your taper report and if you go to the section of average class size, this is the information that you're going to see. And so what we can do, we can maybe make a notation on there on the website, just so that it doesn't reflect that this is the actual count that we actually have.
What are our numbers? What are the actual numbers?
I don't have that information, Madam President, on hand for the actual class counts or actual class size average. Mm-hmm.
It's just grade 2 that we're concerned about at this point
Yes.
for AP.
And I believe that was a situation where we had co-teaching in one classroom. So it inflated the class size average. But we will, like Mrs. Solis Garcia said, at the next meeting, we can clarify that for you. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, like I said, these are just areas to highlight from the taper report. Like I said, all of these reports are accessible. You can either go through the TEA or you can actually go to our district website and access the taper report. You can also access our school report cards and our financial standards report card. Every campus also has the taper report on their website as well. So all this information, like I said, is made public. So it's there. Do you have any questions or comments?
Is that the end of the report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I had a question, and it's regarding AP, and actually, we've kind of had this discussion in the past. It's one of those areas that the board has pointed out that we'd like to see some improvement in,
Yes, ma'am.
and that we have some, I mean, I know how it works, and I know that right now, everybody has to take the test who is enrolled in the class. And do we have a criteria for people to get into the class? And do we have a standard that says if they're not meeting that criteria, that they will be exited?
No, ma'am, we do not have a criteria for them to take an AP class.
Okay, that's what
But if I can just highlight, when I was looking at other surrounding districts, in terms of our AP 3 or higher, we overall are doing, better than Calallen and also GP. We were at 15.6%. Calallen was at 15.9, so we're kind of close to them, and GP was at 9.1. So I was kind of looking at the surrounding areas just to see how we fared with other school districts.
And for me, it's always about just how are we doing,
Yes, ma'am, I know.
Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
So. Okay, I think
I-
that was, yeah.
I
Thank
had a
you.
quick question on page 10, just, I don't know if I understand it.
Okay.
What does it mean when there's the sections where they're retained in grade 5 and retained in, it's like,
Are you talking about the actual report, Nicole?
yeah, the actual report, page
Okay.
10, and the student success
Yes.
initiative.
That only applies to students in grades 5 and 8. And so basically, it's an initiative where if they do not pass the STAR test at that particular grade level, then they are either retained or they're given 2 other opportunities to retake the STAR test. So what you're seeing on there is the reporting information for the first administration.
Okay.
Okay,
What
and
does
so-
the asterisk stand for then?
Let me go to that one. Okay. And that's on page 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, either we did not have, it was not significant to report.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
And, see, we talked about the district staff information and the salary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, question, where the salaries are listed, am I correct? I didn't know what this number meant, average teacher salary by years of experience, beginning teachers, and it says 60,803, and the state at 49,868, but that number didn't seem to work with the numbers below it.
Uh-huh.
So, in doing some research today, and we looked at last night. Glossary. And the way it reads that beginning teachers, it depends on who's classified as a beginning teacher. And so came to work this morning and looked into it some more, and sure enough, it's certain teachers were classified as beginning teachers, and those, I'll give you a couple of examples. They're on non-chapter 21 certificates, like our ROTC teachers are lumped in there, and or have been lumped in there, and so their salaries kind of skew that number. And so I've talked to our PEAMS director, and also to she had a meeting with Louise and our HR person, and they're going to fix that to where in the future they're not classified as beginning.
Okay.
For some reason, they had been listed in that category in PEAMS, and so you keep hearing the PEAMS side and coding, and so those are areas that we'll have to sit together and start looking at to see why some of these anomalies are coming up.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. With that, I guess, since we have no public comments and everybody else is okay, then a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Mr. Hooper, and a second. Thank you, Mr. Rank. All in favor? We are adjourned at 6:17 p.m. All right, that will lead us into the regular board meeting. So I call the regular board meeting of the Flower Bluff Board of Trustees to order at 6:17 p.m. Let the record show that we do have a quorum with all members present. And somewhere on that screen, there is Pastor Steve Garcia. Where is he?
Right here.
There. Hi, Pastor Steve Garcia.
There. Hi.
How are you? You are with
I'm
Island
doing-
Baptist Church, is that correct?
That's right, Padre Island Baptist Church.
Okay. Would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Well, certainly. Thank you. Lord God, thank you for today. Thank you for all your blessings. Right now that as we get ready to start this meeting, Lord, I just pray for your wisdom, for your guidance, for your discernment and decisions that need to be made. I also pray for our students, Lord. We lift them up to you tonight and ask that you would comfort those who've had a struggle this past year with the losses of family members or even staff at the school, Lord God, who have experienced that as well. Lord God, we pray that you would be with them. God, that you would continue to encourage their hearts. God, that you would bring a peace and restore joy into the households. We thank you now, Lord, for what you're going to do in this time, and we ask your blessing on it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We appreciate that so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now for the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. Okay. Do we have any presentations tonight?
No, ma'am, no presentation this
Okay.
evening.
And public comments, Madam Secretary?
No, Madam President, no public comment.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I should have looked over. I should have just looked left.
It's okay.
Audience members, please be advised that the entire board informational packet is posted on the Flower Bluff ISD website under the link Board of Trustees. It can be accessed with any device with web access capabilities. The packet is developed by the superintendent and staff to provide information on the agenda items for the board. And if it pleases the board at this point, I would like to move item 12, our closed meeting, to this point in the meeting because we have somebody who's waiting on us and I don't want to make them wait all evening. Okay?
All right. Well, then, in that case, Madam President, I make the motion that we go into closed session, which may be conducted under Texas Government Code Sections 551, 071, consultation with an attorney, 072, real property, 073, prospective gifts, 074, personnel matters, 082, student discipline, 082, employee complaints, 0821, personally identifiable information about public school students, and 087, economic development negotiations. Also under the Education Code, public notice is given pursuant to the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Government Code Chapter 551, that the Flower Bluff ISD Board of Trustees may elect to go into a closed meeting at any time during the above meeting for discussion of subjects properly before them when authorized by the provisions of said act. All votes, actions, or decisions will be taken in open session.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. A second? Thank you. Mr. Morgan? All in favor? Okay, 7-0. We're going into closed session at 6:21 p.m.
We will be moving into our dining area back.
decisions were made. We are now ready to move to, reports. Item A, that includes summary of finance reports and schedule events for Texas Public Schools Week. Is there a board member who would like either one of these discussed separately? Okay, then we will move on to reports and presentations. Item 9A, review of policy update 116, local affecting local policy CQB locals, DCD local, FFAC local, and GKA local. Who has that?
Madam President, I'm going to make a motion to move item 9B up above this,
Okay.
The report on the vertically integrated
Because you need
oceans
to,
program.
yes, okay. I think I can just do that.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
do that.
Thank you.
All right, I will move that. So we're going to consider 9B first. Mr. Rank, that's yours then.
Thank you. And I thank you all for letting me do this, just so that everybody knows why I'm kind of hit and run. I've got, my father is in the hospital, everything's okay, but I do need to get there. So that's why I'm doing this first. All right, so I would like to talk to you all about a big picture item for Flower Bluff tonight. And I'm going to take a few minutes to do it. A lot of times our board meetings, we get very bogged down in details just of necessity. So it's good to step back and think real long-term, real strategic. I've been working on this. I want to make clear, this is not just the product of my work, but a lot of people have had input. What I've come up with is an idea for Flower Bluff to have a vertically integrated oceans program. What does that mean? What is it? Program to harness natural and societal resources that are unique to our district, to Flower Bluff, our connection to the sea, to engage and inspire our kids all the way through. Okay? There's nothing new under the sun, folks, especially in Flower Bluff. Okay? We're going to be standing on the shoulders of giants as we do this. We're going to remember what the Bluff has done so far. We're going to remember that those that came before us made us so But I do have to give you away. And the person that I think, certainly for me, because he deeply affected my life, I know he's affected other people, and he was here for so long, was David Barton. Okay? We already skipped past it, but that was Bartling at the beginning. There's ocean students in the 80s doing field work, ocean students reviving turtles, dragging seine nets. That would look familiar to what we do now in the wetlands. Ocean students on boats, small boats, building the first boat for the Bluff, the Hornet. Then there was the second boat. There's the Hornet being dragged in some shallow water. There's the Hornet when it was actually good times. There's the Shane Ray Gregor converted shrimp boat named after a student that passed away. There's lab work that was going on in the oceans department. Lots of lab work. There's that, whatever that is.
Yeah, what was that?
It was somebody with buckets on their head. That was one of theirs.
That's ESD.
And it goes on today. The legacy of Mr. Bartling is that there's now a fellowship that we award each year in his name. Because when Mr. Bartling passed away, and he hadn't been teaching at that time for many years, at least 15, I think exactly 15, all the ocean students from all over the country, all over the world actually, came back and met at his house and had a wake, if you will. A teacher that makes that sort of impact on kids' lives, that's amazing. So that's what we're doing here, and I want to recognize that. Bartling is not the only one. It didn't stop when Bartling left. Oh, I did want to mention the impact. Mr. Bartling retired in 1997. In 2002, Texas Sea Grant, which puts out the Texas Shores magazine, recognized him as a Texas coastal legend.
This is the impact that this man has had. Phenomenal. Of course, that continues today. Whoops. That continues today. Oh, thank you. Whoop. Did I do that?
This is my 24th year teaching. And the place where we're going today is 57 acres of wetlands that was a gift to the school. First, you can demonstrate how to properly sit in the kayak. I get a new batch of 5th graders every 6 weeks. And watch how the paddle hits the water. I teach them how to kayak. Are you guys listening? How to collect specimens. Just give them a basic idea of how to identify something. When the sheep sediment get really big, look at how orange their fins get. And learn a little bit about all the relationships in our local environment. We call it oceans.
We learn a little bit about the native species and invasive species.
A lot of these kids go to the beach, have parents that fish, that take them fishing, and so it's information that they can use every day.
How he teaches things. He teaches it very clearly. He explains everything like how we would see it.
And if you drew out the water molecule, looks like who? Mickey Mouse. Looks like Mickey Mouse. I call it the Disney molecule.
It's kind of funny, but important at the same time.
The Oceans program is probably the most popular class that we have here at the Intermediate campus. They relay that back to the parents. They'll
It's first classroom was like in a cave in a building that was built probably in the 1940s. It was horrible.
In the old junior.
When the sheep sediment get really big, look at how orange their fins get. And learn a little bit about all the relationships in our local environment. We call it oceans.
We learn a little bit about the native species and invasive species.
A lot of these kids go to the beach, have parents that fish, that take them fishing, and so it's information that they can use every day.
How he teaches things. He teaches it very clearly. He explains everything like how we would see it.
And if you drew out the water molecule, looks like who? Mickey Mouse. Looks like Mickey Mouse. I call it the Disney molecule.
It's kind of funny, but important at the same time.
The Oceans program is probably the most popular class that we have here at the Intermediate campus. They relay that back to the parents. They'll do beach cleanups. They'll have different types of activities.
Whenever I used to pass water, I would just stare at it because I thought it was, well, pretty shiny. But now I understand that there are animals living there that need that water to survive.
I've learned that, like, not just marine animals live around the ocean. Like, deer live out here and rattlesnakes. I haven't seen any rattlesnakes down here, but there are some.
Overhand grip.
But he truly has a passion for what he does, and it's obvious.
Watching the kids have fun and, enjoying their smiling faces. Yeah, I get a lot of satisfaction.
So, a tradition of ocean sciences and ocean education is obviously here at the Bluff. It was happening at the high school with Bartling. It's happening at the intermediate now with Katie Doyle, carrying on what Cliff Strain was doing. We do have a tradition, but it's mostly disjointed. This idea that I'm talking about with a vertically integrated program makes sure that the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, that we build on what those kids in the intermediate learn when they get to the junior high. And you'll see in a minute, integrates the community in a way that I think might make Mr. Ronosky proud to know about. There are some unique advantages here in Flower Bluff, not just the history of what we've been doing. We've got property on the world's largest hypersaline lagoon. We own property on the world's largest barrier island. We're right next to Texas's largest branch, and we're right next to the Chief Naval Air Training Command for the entire country. There is no other district that can say those things, folks. No other district. That's pretty phenomenal. We have already the learning wetlands. Right next to the learning wetlands, many of you know, is Redhead Pond. And I think, President Thornton, you can talk to the initiatives about making a connection to those two things. And for those of you that don't know, what's really unique about that is that while the wetlands are tidally influenced and connected to the laguna, Redhead Pond is not. The reason it's called Redhead Pond is because it attracts redhead ducks. The redhead ducks are attracted there because it's freshwater. So you've got, within walking distance of our campus, you've got two very unique ecosystems that kids can compare and contrast. We obviously have land on Padre Island right now. I'm going to get back to that in just a minute. But once again, other districts just can't make these claims, even local districts. In addition to those natural resources, we've got a lot of societal resources here that other places can't lay claim to. We don't have just one marine science university. We've got two in this county, folks. I mean, go to the West Coast, they've got La Jolla and Scripps. Go to the East Coast, they've got Woods Hole. Where do you have two in one town or in one county? I only know of Nueces County that has two. Obviously, A&M Corpus Christi and UT Marine Science Institute in Port Aransas. We've got the only Texas State Aquarium in the state of Texas in our town. We've obviously got the Padre Island National Seashore. We've got the power plant right here with the fish hatcheries that are run by Parks and Wildlife. We've got Texas Sea Grant. We've got the Port of Corpus Christi. We've got NAS Corpus Christi that houses offices for the Office of Naval Research and NOAA, in addition to Sinatra. Obviously, right next door, the Friends of Redhead Pond. We've got other non-governmental organizations, the Sea Life Center, the ARC, that used to be run by Tony Amos. We've got the Coastal Bend Basin Estuaries, the Coastal Conservation Association, other partners that we might not normally think of, like the Surfrider Foundation, like the Art Museum. It goes on and on.
And the one that we're doing right now, the Outdoor Recreation Enhancement Group, that is a step down of the Flower Bluff Area Development Plan. And it's right along these lines.
And they've got some exciting things coming on.
Exciting things. And Redhead Pond and the school pond and Duncan Pond, all part of it.
Making a connection. And we could honestly spend all night going on and on about the possible connections, the more you think about it. But at the bottom line, what it comes down to is there is no place on earth like Flower Bluff.
Amen.
When it comes to coastal connection. So, what are we talking about? Using the world ocean. Not everybody knows that term. But when we talk about the world ocean, we mean all of the integrated bodies of water on Earth. Okay? Lakes, streams, rivers, everything. As a vehicle for learning, obviously, about science, right? That's what we just saw, right? Kids pulling seine nets and dropping Siki discs and taking plankton samples, and sure. And that's what everybody thinks of when they think of an oceans program. I want to go beyond that. I want to go to history. Oceans as world history, trade, navigation, talking about human geography, the movement of humans around the earth. It is uniquely tied with the oceans. It connects us all. Naval histories, obviously. Let's talk about U.S. history. We have to teach our kids about U.S. history, right? How many people know that Ben Franklin was the person that mapped out the Gulf Stream? Pretty incredible. Why? Because it was important to move mail around the United States, and that was a quick way to do it. I mean, no matter where you look, art, obviously, we don't think about it much. We talk about fine arts programs. We can expose kids to art using the ocean as a touch point throughout the 80s. Mark Quinn, Kent Olberg, a world-class artist right here in our town, folks. Can you imagine if we had Mr. Olberg come in and give a workshop to our students on sculpture.
And he would.
In a heartbeat, he would. Let's get even a little bit more esoteric, if you will. The art and math and music, I wasn't even sure what to call it. When I started thinking about what Mr. Bartling started in me, then I went to A&M Galveston for my marine sciences degree. And there I met this fellow by the name of Klein, who got me into art and fractals and the math of that. I also met this fellow by the name of Eilif, who ended up teaching me to cave dive. Ooh. It takes you all over the world, folks. But the art of the oceans, does anybody, I don't know how well you can see that, that's a coastline. The coastline, I'll ask a question. Does anybody know how long the coastline of England is? Anybody? Infinite. That's the answer. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Well, it was Mr. Mandelbrot that taught us that because of fractals. Okay, it depends the size of the measuring stick that you use to measure the coastline. The shorter the measuring stick that you use, the longer the answer that you get. Because if you use a measuring stick that's that long, well, it's only one unit. But if you use a measuring stick that long, well, you can go into that crevice, and that one, and maybe that one and back. And pretty soon, you see that there are huge discrepancies in the length of coastlines, something you think we would all be able to agree on. And that's important when we start allocating societal resources based on how many miles of coastline a state has, for instance. So that's fractals in a practical, but obviously fractals are hard also. Okay? There was supposed to be music playing, the Blue Danube. You were supposed to be hearing, but it didn't work. Literature. Okay, I know somebody's going to think how far we are now removed from those kids dragging the seine net. But it's still all tied together. Obviously, I talked to President Thornton about this, and I immediately thought of, okay, Old Man in the Sea, Moby Dick, I'm out. But then I started thinking a little bit more, and I included this last one. One of these things is not like the other, right? I mean, you recognize those names. This fellow wrote The Perfect Storm. I really love that book. The reason I love that book is because it ties so many things together, just like the ocean. It talked about meteorology. It talked about commercial fishing. It talked about life offshore. It talked about all these sorts of things. And that's what an oceans curriculum that's truly integrated can do. It can integrate lots of different areas. Math. Kids talk about, why am I having to figure out algebra? Maybe we can talk about population dynamics. Why am I talking about geometry? Maybe we can talk about design. You know, it goes on and on. Even new areas of math, right? Non-Euclidean geometries, hydrodynamics, that sort of thing. Modeling, computer modeling. Let's say maybe a little less esoteric. Industry. We can interest kids in industry and vocational programs and give them skills based on the resources that we have unique here in this district. Marine engineering, transportation, fishing, both commercial and recreational. All kinds, obviously, energy development is a big one. Aquaculture, another huge one, right? Shrimp farming, boat design, and shipbuilding. And when I started thinking about boat design and shipbuilding, it occurred to me, wait a minute, we got this crazy competition they do every year, anything that floats but a boat, where these people make these ridiculous things and toss them in the water and go jump in, and HRY goes out and takes pictures. We could have a team from the high school or even the junior high build one of those things and learn while they're doing it. Obviously, the defense aspect of it. The NJROTC, we're already knocking it out of the park. The Coast Guard, Customs and Border Patrol, Sinatra, the Navy, I mean, it's measurable. The physical and emotional health and well-being. Have a surf club. How many places? Could you have a surf club in Beeville? I don't think so. It's not going to happen. Scuba diving class with certification. We just built that in an auditorium. Why don't we put 15-year-olds in there and get them sea cards? Get them interested in breathing underwater. Beach runs. We've got the running club all the way down to the elementary. We also have 80 miles of beach. Let's put those two things together. So, a vertically integrated oceans program. The major elements that I see, that I want to talk to you about, and I want to be very clear. This is only a report. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just sort of planting the seed right now. I want everybody to start thinking about it. I see 4 major elements that are needed here. We need to partner with all of those organizations, or we need to explore those partnerships with those organizations. See what we can do. Summer programs like Sea Camp. What we talked about with Redhead Pond. Let me tell you something. Redhead Pond, I happen to be on the board of the Friends of Redhead Pond, and one of the things that happened was people that are working on Laguna Shores have to do mitigation projects. They have to write mitigation plans. Well, to write mitigation plans, they have to say, well, we're going to monitor the salinity and the inflows and the blah, 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 right? Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. You know, those people would be really happy to partner with Friends of Redhead or with Flower Bluff ISD to have students go out there and measure the salinity once a week. What a great project. We're right there. Obviously, Barney Davis power plant. Number 2, develop age-appropriate complementary curriculum. Okay, this is not a replacement for what we're doing. I don't want to put any extra pressure on our teachers. Okay, that's not the idea here. This is to complement what they're already doing and a way to inspire our students in ways that maybe we haven't done as much as we could. Okay? We need to involve the faculty in this development. Those people that are excited about it, we need to harness that excitement. We need to make use of all of the existing resources, right? There are lots of canned curriculum out there, not just about ocean sciences, but also about art, even about, at some point I think I skipped right past it, was the symphony, right? About ocean-themed music and sounds of the sea, okay? Lots of curriculum out there already. I'm not going to go into this, but these are examples of curriculum both in the STEM and the humanities that are somewhat age-appropriate, sorted by the campuses that we have now. So starting all the way up at the ECC, you might just be talking about freshwater versus saltwater. Basic food webs. As far as their humanities, it could be sandcastle building and sounds of the sea. By the time they're in junior high, we're talking about ocean conservation and water chemistry. They can be keeping their own aquariums, a major part of Bartland's class. They can be journaling, doing performances, photography, all sorts of things. So I think you're starting to see what I'm talking about vertically integrating the program and making it a theme throughout the district. The third major element. I don't know if everybody remembers, we have a tutoring bus. I think it's sitting right now. Gold?
A cool one.
A cool one, that's right.
Alicia.
Let's use that tutoring bus that right now is not getting used. Let's revamp it and make it a mobile marine learning center. We can put in some benches, we can make some space to transport nets and that sort of thing, so that any class in the district that wants to take a field trip to the beach can do so. It's not just to go drag seine nets. The art class can go out there and do some alfresco art. Flotsam sculpture. There's a local sculptor by the name of Greg Reuter that does a lot of beach combing and then makes sculptures from it and sells these things all over the world. Just went to Japan and had a big show. Beach cleanups, obviously. So that's the major element number 3. Major element number 4, I told you I was going to get back to that land on the island. And this is a central part of this. We have 6.5 acres out there on the island. Can you make that play for me? Oh, there we go. It's right out as you're crossing that bridge at Gypsy and Whitecap. Okay? And right now, you'll notice that it's on a canal, but the canal is kind of a go-nowhere canal unless you go under the Gypsy Bridge and all the way around, and it's sort of the end of the canal, right? But let's imagine, just for a minute, if it weren't the end of the canal, what we could do there. When I was Marine Extension Agent in Matagorda County, we had a boat called the RV Karma. It was a converted shrimp boat. And what we would do would take kids out from schools who would pay us money to take their kids out and do classes and do exactly what you saw our students in the 80s doing on the Shane Ray Greger. Drag troll nets, drag plankton nets, look at what you got, talk about it, teach the kids, right? Kids get very into it. We could have a boat like that. We could make a small marine learning center for use by the entire district, not just the elementary, not just the high school. The entire district gets to use it. We could even lease it to other entities if we chose to do so. But most importantly, we could inspire our kids. Wouldn't have to be expensive or fancy. An outdoor pavilion, maybe with garage doors. The central part of it, and what we had in Matagorda that I'll tell you just knocked it out of the park, set this program apart, was a big aquarium. 1,000 gallons is what we had. And when kids would come in off of the Karma, they'd take their pinfish or their catfish or whatever fish they had found, or octopus, and they'd toss it in the aquarium. And then they get to see it while they were there. We had kids return to Matagorda, which is way at the end of the road. You guys, you're not on your way to anywhere when you're going to Matagorda. You're only going to Matagorda. We had kids drive that 50 miles just to check on their fish. Okay? Imagine for a moment if we put a marine learning center right here, a pavilion, and at the end of the pavilion was a 1,000-gallon aquarium. Under the shade of the pavilion, it perhaps connected to this canal so that it's an open system. And it was visible for all those people that drive down Whitecap. Because that's the main thoroughfare to the island, as you all know. Okay? Every parent passing that sees that 1,000-gallon aquarium, sees fish swimming around in it, and thinks, Flower Bluff. That's something that other districts are not offering, that other options for those parents are not offering. Imagine that for just a minute. Now, as I said before, this is what it looks like, but this is what it did look like up until very recently, that land. This is what it looked like about a week ago when I took my drone over there to take pictures. You'll notice that behind our land, there was a golf course. Now, behind our land, there is a new channel that they're building on the island. It's almost, if they're ready to connect it to that canal, right next to our land. That canal is going to go out this way and into Packard and provide access for small boats to get out into the Gulf of Mexico or out into Corpus Bay without having to go around the long way, all the way around the old cement plant by the yacht club, if you know. Okay? That is happening. That's not we hope that's going to happen. Those of us who live out on the island deal with it every day. It is happening. Let's use that. Let's put that pavilion there. Imagine coming in on the boat with the kids after you've been out trolling, looking at plankton, watching the kids get inspired to write a poetry or sketch or paint. You get to pull in. You can pull right into the small boat basin. the possibilities here are, it's just the right time, it's the right place. It fits for the Bluff right now. And I rarely have things that just make sense any way I look at it. But for me, this did. Now let's look at how the nitty gritty. What will we need to do this? In my opinion, what we need is one leader at the top, somebody to manage the program. They might need support staff eventually. We need volunteers that can help develop them, that can help write the grants, that can help with special projects, that can help out on the boats. We need incentives for teachers and staff that do choose to participate. We might need to establish some sort of separate entity like the Old Educational Excellence Foundation. I'm not sure. I'll let the lawyers decide that, right? How are we going to fund it? That should be a huge question on all of our minds. First two years, I'll be honest with you, we're going to have to eat it. We're going to have to eat at least 2 years of salary, in my opinion, for somebody to get this thing going, okay? We're going to have small programs during those first 2 years, seine nets, microscopes, refractometers, sketchbooks, waterproof logbooks, that sort of thing. But in subsequent years, it can be funded, I believe, 100% through grants. The first director's first job is going to be writing grants to support themselves after that second year, to support the entire program. And there is real money out there. Those entities that I listed earlier as partners, for instance, NOAA has a grant that I was familiar with very recently for Friends of Red Hat, $500,000. That's real money, obviously, that could fund a program like this. Okay? Major infrastructure and acquisitions, when we're talking about purchasing a shrimp boat and revamping it, when we're talking about building a marine learning center, maybe that is going to have to be a bond issue if there is a bond in the future. But maybe the first director can figure out less expensive ways to step up into that and show corporate partners like HEB or like the refineries that, hey, there's something here that we're serious about, we're doing something good, and if you just kick in a little bit of money, it can get to that next level. So, what am I asking of y'all? Why did I bring this to you? Like I said, I just wanted to plant the seed tonight, okay? I want you to start thinking about it. I want you to have ideas, and obviously we need your support if it's going to happen, and sometime we'll need funding. That's about it for tonight. I think it's a very Flower Bluff project and something that only Flower Bluff can do. So
I'm giving you this.
Me too.
I am so proud of you. That was amazing. Not that I'm giving my opinion. I'm just.
So Tim, let me ask you, if you got a vessel, what do you think it should be called?
I hadn't gotten that far. I feel like the RV Bartling might be a good name for it. Yeah.
Could you send all of us this presentation?
I will. I apologize. I didn't already. Honestly, it was finished at 4:30 this afternoon. So, Mr. Bartling would be shaking his head now also.
Smiling right now.
Yeah. But I will make it available.
And I know we're all going to have some questions and just some thoughts, but we need some time, let's just say, let it percolate down.
Yep. Digest it.
Thank you so much for that. We
Thank you.
Appreciate your enthusiasm
Yes.
and thoroughness. It was very fun to watch. It was like a play.
All right. I apologize, but I've got to skip out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, let's note the time so that Monica will know. Okay. All right, now we're ready to go to report item 9A, those policies. Who's taking that?
Okay, so this is a first read on these policies, and it is update 116. And I will note that there are only 4 local policies in this update, and those are listed on that cover page, and they do follow in the next few pages. it being the first read, we'll be coming back to you next month with those local policies, the legal ones. It is a big packet, I will tell you. It's a huge packet.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
a
that.
lot of legal, and those, just go on. But the local ones are the ones that we need to pay attention to, of course, and that's your CQB local is your technology resources. It talks about cybersecurity. DCD local is employment practices, that will employment. FFAC local is wellness and health services, medical treatment, and GKA local is community relations, conduct on school premises. So I would just ask the board to make sure to review those before we come back next month. And then if you have any questions before then, please feel free to reach out so we can do some research if we need to do any type of research for any of the board members, okay, before we bring it back for adoption.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Let's go to the consent agenda. The consent agenda, all items under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Trustees and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as an item on the regular agenda. A board member may move to approve the consent agenda as presented with any requested items removed. Does any board member wish to remove one of these items? It includes approval of minutes of the regular meeting of January 28th and special meeting of February 11th, approval of out-of-district transfer students for the 2021 school year, and approval of budget change requests. Anyone? Okay, then a motion, please.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Hooper, questions, concerns, comments? All in favor? All right, very good. All right, moving down to 11A, consider and approve the submission of an application to the Texas Education Agency for state waiver for professional development for the 21-22 school year.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President, I'm going to ask Dr. Allison Shum to join us. She's in her office via Zoom, and she has information to share with you about this item.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, yes, ma'am. This professional development waiver will allow the district to train teachers, staff on various educational strategies that will improve student performance in lieu of a maximum of 2,100 minutes of student instruction for districts that provide operational minutes and instructional. So, and right now this is really important because we're working on the calendar for the next school year. And so having this waiver in place, we will be allowed to have extra PD days for our teacher, like I said, to improve instruction for our students. And so we're asking the board to consider approving this waiver for tonight.
Okay, questions or comments from the board before we, all good? All right, then a motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the state waiver for professional development for the 21-22 school year.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Welp. And a second?
Second. You got two of them.
All right, Ms. Peters? Questions, comments? All in favor? All right. Moving on to item 11B, review and possible approval of policy BQ local planning and decision-making process. These are the ones that we looked at last time.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. And all changes have been made as they were presented to the board last month. And it is the recommendation of the administration that you all consider approving BQ local as presented.
Okay. A motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. So we've got Peters and then Hooper. Questions or comments on this one? All in favor? Good. All right, and now moving on to 11C, review and possible approval of policy BQA local planning and decision-making process district level.
Again, same changes were made. This was brought to the board last month for first read, so this is the approval process.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve BQA local
Thank you, Mr. Hooper.
changes.
And a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Welp.
Nobody's used to it.
Questions, comments? All in favor? And 11D, this is also from the last time, review and possible approval of policy BQB, local planning decision-making process, campus level.
So moved.
Was that Mr. Hooper?
That's me. Surprise.
Second.
And second. Roll. Okay. That was Peters.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? All in favor? Very good. And where are we now? Are we at D? E. Sorry. E. Approve the designating funds for the E-rate wireless project. All right, let's talk about that one.
Okay, so what we have here, we have Dr. Sean and we have Alex Fuente also available to present this information. Allison, are you on?
I think I see her.
You're on mute.
Okay, Alex, you want to go ahead and?
Yes, I can talk. I can talk to this. This is every year we apply for E-rate. There's a category 1 and there's a category 2. The category 2 is something that we can only do once every 5 years or so, once we've used our allotment of funds. So that time has come. We historically are a 60% district, which means that the FCC will actually fund 60% of any project that we do. We're looking at doing a wireless project. As of right now, especially when COVID hit, we have so many students bringing in the devices. It's hit our wireless infrastructure pretty good. And so we really need to beat that up, modernize that. And so this is the perfect time for us to do this. We're thinking that the project is going to be about a $500,000 to $600,000 project. So somewhere in that range would mean that if it's a $600,000 project, about $240,000 of it would actually come from local funds. So we need to make sure that if we do accept a contract for that, we have to designate that we do have it in the budget to support our portion of that.
Okay. All right. Board?
My only comment is I think it becomes infrastructure that we need. I mean, going forward, we've got to be thinking about technology, and we saw that in COVID. And I think we're going to need to support this more and more. And I know the budget numbers get bigger and bigger, and I realize that at some point we need to manage that and moderate somewhat, but we're going to need to increase the capabilities in our buildings. I mean, I can tell you just based on my limited knowledge of each of the campuses, and Alex knows which ones are better than others, but I think that we're going to need some substantial improvement in the next 5 years.
Well, it's a 60-40, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, it requires an investment on our part, but it's really highly leveraged.
Yeah.
There would be no federal funds with the CARES Act that would reimburse our portion of that.
So this is going to be your FCC-driven E-rate. So when you look at your cell phone bill, there's an actual FCC amount that comes out. It funds the E-rate project for schools and libraries. It's the USAC, Schools and Libraries Division, and so, or SLD. So that's what's actually funding it. It is a federal grant, though.
The CARES Act will help us with other technology needs. So it has to be designated for whatever we designate it for. So if we say we want to do it for the wireless, that would be the project.
Oh.
And like you said, if you don't do it now, then we can't apply for this for another 5 years. So it would be 5 years. And
Well, you can't. Excuse me. You could apply for it within this 5-year period. We could do it next year as well. The issue is though that this is affecting students and teachers' instruction right now. We're doing the best we can with it, but we need to get this thing upgraded. This is going to include not just wireless switches. This is going to include or access point, but switches and cabling for the whole thing.
Madam President, I move that we approve the designated funds for the E-rate wireless project.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Needham. And is other comments?
One question, Alex, I'm assuming that we're moving to 100% fiber. Is that correct?
We have fiber as backbones. What's really great about the fact that all of our campuses are like a university campus, we own our fiber. And we've ripped out all the multi-mode. We put in single mode. It's all subterranean. So we have excellent backbone speed. We got like 20 gigabytes per every building fiber. And then every one of our switches in between are all supported with fiber at least at 10 to 20 gig as well. So we have a really, really nice infrastructure that we use as a foundation because we do have our own fiber. We own our fiber. So what will end up happening is there'll be a Cat 6 plenum rated going out to the actual access points, but those are at about a gig. So we're going to have a really, really nice system.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Very good.
Thank you.
All right, item F, consider and take possible action to adopt a resolution requesting Governor Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official expert vaccine allotment panel's definition of frontline workers.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, this is a resolution that many school districts are putting forth to the governor to really stress the fact that our teachers should be considered frontline workers and not have to wait until the second tier, if you will, 1A, those that don't qualify for 1A or 1B in order to get the vaccine. We have several teachers in our district who are interested in getting the vaccine, somewhat close to 300, 400 teachers that are interested in getting that vaccine but don't qualify under 1A or 1B.
Right.
And so we really want to send the message that they really do need to consider putting teachers as frontline workers, and that's what this resolution will do.
Okay. Would you like me to read through this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Unless
Alrighty.
you just want, it's up to you.
I mean, I can read it. A resolution requesting Governor Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official expert vaccine allotment panel's definition of frontline workers, whereas the Flower Bluff Independent School District Board of Trustees recognizes that the United States, the state of Texas, and local health authorities, as well as the World Health Organization, have declared a public health disaster and emergency regarding coronavirus or COVID-19, prioritizing disease surveillance and putting in place precautionary measures to stop its spread. Whereas public schools impact millions of students and staff, having a profound impact on families while charged with the care, education, nourishment of their students, and are an integral part of the health and safety of our communities. Whereas our district has responded to the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic while conducting the day-to-day operations of our schools and ensuring the efficient delivery of instruction virtually, and substantial public interest in protecting the health and safety of its students, staff, and community to ensure that the district is fully prepared to most effectively face the challenges resulting from the COVID-19 health emergency. Whereas the state of Texas convened a group of external and internal subject matter experts as the Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel, the EVAP, to develop vaccine allocation recommendations to the Texas Commissioner of Health, prioritizing the availability of vaccines to frontline workers and vulnerable populations. Whereas district staff at all levels are essential to the day-to-day operations of this district and critical for virtual and in-class instruction. And whereas the board requests that Governor Abbott and those appointed to the Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel include school district employees as frontline workers for purposes of vaccine allocation. It is therefore resolved that the Flower Bluff ISD Board of Trustees finds a substantial public purpose exists to request that the governor and the Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel designate all public school district personnel as frontline workers, and further, as essential frontline workers, they be given appropriate priority in the statewide administration of the COVID-19 vaccine as it becomes available. Adopted on this, the 25th day of February 2021 by the Flower Bluff ISD Board of Trustees. Can I have a motion, please? Okay. All righty. So I've got a motion over here, Mr. Morgan, and can I take that as your second? Okay. I'm not reading anything again. I want any questions. All in favor? Okay, very good.
Mr. Needham, did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Now, this is the good one here. Request for volunteers and approval of board trustees to serve on district committees.
I told you this was gonna come back to my chair.
Because he's thinking, I already did my part.
Madam President, we have talked about these committees last month, and we were ready to start meeting. Actually, the calendar committee has met twice already. And we would like to have an ad hoc member from the board at these committees, just so that you all see, how we run our committees and the information that's presented, and then you're able to be able to speak to the community about what we're doing as well.
I nominate Mr. Ray.
I
second that.
For
For
Jeff.
all three committees, look, we have to take these one at a time. Okay, first of all, do we need a motion to just approve this first and then,
Yeah.
or do we need to plug the names in
We would have to
first?
plug the names in.
Okay.
Who would be interested in each.
Okay.
They're non-voting members, you're just sitting in as ad hoc members.
Are they
Okay.
Zoom meetings? Or
Some are Zoom, some will be Zoom. The calendar has been in person.
Can you expound on what the requirements are going to be for each of these? Because I'd like to be on a couple of them, and I need to know because honestly, this is the busiest time of the year for me, February through July. So can you tell me a little more about what's going to be
So
involved?
the calendar committee currently is working on, of course, the calendar for the next school year, but then they're going to roll into the survey of the community for the year-round calendar. So that one's going to go a little longer than the others.
Is it every week, every 2 weeks, every month?
Right now, they're working on the calendar to bring to the board next month, so they have been
Okay.
meeting every week. They met 2 weeks ago, and then they'll start meeting again every week until we bring that to you
Okay.
in March. The budget committee, I believe Louise is on, and she can tell you, I think she presented that calendar to you all last month, where we had scheduled meetings almost once a month. And then the benefits committee, I would assume is Louise.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, we're looking at having those scheduled once, both of those those committees will meet once a month throughout the rest of the school year. Benefits should wrap up in May. The budget committee will obviously go on into the summer.
Which one specifically were you?
Well, I was looking at budget and benefits, to be honest. So
How do you feel about budget?
I knew you were going to ask that question. And here for the budget at this point.
Very good. At this point, or?
No, right now.
So I have a question for Mr. Morgan. Sorry. Mr. Morgan, I know that you are our insurance expert. Would that include like health insurance and our health insurance plan and how all that works?
I can help out there, but I was thinking that maybe Nicole might want to do that. But I'd be more than happy to do that. You just want one board member on each.
We can have two.
There you go.
I don't mind doing it, but you are the expert.
Yeah, I'll swallow it with you.
So we want two here? Okay. All right.
Nobody volunteered for a second spot on budget.
Okay. Well, that's. Jennifer,
I'll
Jennifer,
volunteer
I'm not
for a
hearing
second.
that.
I'll volunteer for the second spot on budget. I think having two is good because then if somebody has a commitment, we still have a board representative there. What I'm thinking is, on the basic level, it's about having a board presence, but on a more important level, it's about having expertise. Jerry's got a lot of budget expertise. You've got a lot of the benefits expertise. So when people are talking about things, probably nobody on that committee really knows insurance like you know insurance. So it's nice to have somebody there that's kind of thinking about taking care of our employees, making sure our budget's balanced and stuff. But it's another to have a technical expert, subject matter expert there as well.
I agree. All right, and calendar committee. And I'm going to say, I'm not saying that I can't, I am going to say I can't do this because I cover for somebody who's on the calendar committee. And somebody has to take care of those 10 kids. Okay, yay, all right. Yay, all right. Should we also put Mr. Rank on it, just for funsies?
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay, very good. You took note of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Somehow I escaped this list. So let me say, calendar committee, Welp and Rank, budget committee, Hooper and Needham, benefits committee, Morgan and Peters, and the behind the scenes support committee, me. And honestly, if you can't make any of those, I can sub. I can sub for you if you want. Okay. I know. You only get a couple. So, all right. So a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve those members on those committees.
Thank you, Mr. Hooper. And a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. All in favor? Very good. Oh, y'all are great. It wasn't as painful as I thought it'd be. That's good. Okay.
She was kind of worried about that.
Well, all right. Item H, approve resolution of the board regarding wage payments during the school closure as a result of the winter storms. And is this also a, yes. Okay. Madam Secretary, how do you feel about reading this one?
Oh, sure. I don't
All right,
mind.
jump
Do
on.
you want any
Explanation
or-
first,
We do
yes.
have- We do have Louise on standby
Okay.
if you have any questions.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah.
And we've had this already.
Yeah, and it is required to be read aloud as a part of the record?
I don't know how you all have done it in the past.
Oh, sometimes we do, sometimes we
Then
don't.
just as presented. I would
Yeah.
Okay, we can do it as presented?
I would
Okay.
think so. So I make a motion, Madam President, that we adopt the resolution of the board regarding wage payments during the emergency school closure due to the 2021 winter storm.
Very good. And
I'll second that.
Thank you, Dr. Needham. Got that? As presented. And any other questions or comments for Louise?
No.
We're good. All in favor? Very good.
Comment,
Yes, sir.
Madam President?
Yes.
I just want to reiterate again, and I think I can safely say I speak for this whole board. We value our students, but we also value every single person that works in this district. And I think this board has demonstrated through the years, we are always going to do our best to take care of our people. And this is something that we're doing that I think demonstrates that. Thank you.
It is the right thing to do. All right, action item 11I, consider and approve the submission of an application to the TEA for a state waiver for missed school day. What do we need to know about that?
So this is aligned with the last item that you just approved, the 5 days for the snow bid, if you will, the snow days, the winter storm that we just had. This is the waiver that we have to submit to TEA, and Allison is on standby if you have any questions, but basically we're submitting this waiver so that we don't have to make up those dates.
You briefed us already.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in that case, then I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, who did I hear first?
Second.
Mr. Morgan, Ms. Peters. Questions, comments? All in favor? Okay. Moving on. Item J.
And, you know, we placed this item on here, Madam President, at the time we didn't know the extent of the damages from this winter storm, and we wanted to be safe and make sure that we had a place in the budget and the agenda, that if it did go over 50,000, we would be able to come to you and get permission to have those paid off. But it's way less than 50 at this point. We're at about 30,000 unless something has changed. So we really don't need approval on that.
Okay, so we'll just move
Move on.
on.
Good that our facilities fared well,
Thank
you
goodness.
know, during this, and
It was a lot of
obviously
damage, but not over 50.
some, right, that was to be expected.
Okay. Now, 11K, update the resolution for the extension of emergency paid sick leave to include absences related to the COVID-19 vaccination.
Yes, ma'am. I do have Louise on standby. I would like for her to just brief you on just a few things as to why we're bringing this to you tonight. Louise?
Okay. As you know, we, as a board, extended EPSL, and surprisingly, Congress has not extended that emergency sick leave. And so we instituted it as a district, extending the federal guidelines. And what's come up with our employees is people are not wanting to get the vaccine because they're going to miss work and they don't know if they're going to get paid. And then you hear a lot of people with the second shot actually getting sick for a day or two. And they're concerned about having to use leave or missing work. And so we obviously want to make it as easy as possible for people to obtain the vaccine because it's in the best interest of our students, our staff, our community. And so we looked at adding a eligibility for waiver for vaccine related illness to be able to use the EPSL. We did not extend the number of days that any one employee has. You still have access to 10 days of EPSL. So if you've already quarantined for 10 or got sick previously, you've already used your 10 days. So we didn't expand any more days. But for someone who has not used their EPSL, it is available for them for the vaccine. And then we also, with travel being lifted, added another item on the EPSL. You'll have a replacement page from that EPSL will not be available if you voluntarily travel internationally. So if you take a vacation internationally and come back and have to quarantine for 2 weeks, that's going to be your personal choice and not a district paid quarantine time.
We do have a replacement. Oh, is that what this is right
Yeah.
here? That's this one right here. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, we added A on there.
Got it.
About voluntary international travel.
All right.
I'll make the motion for the resolution of the board to amend the emergency paid sick leave extension.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question, I guess, kind of related to this. How are we doing as far as getting some sort of teacher and staff immunization event for Flower Bluff ISD faculty and staff?
We met with county elected officials, and what they proposed was every time that the city or the county gets a batch of vaccines, they take a certain percentage from it and they hold a clinic, if you will, for all educators of the county at one location. So what they've done is the last couple of times that they've received 5,000, they pull out 500 and they send our educators to Church Unlimited off of that one site. I can't remember, it's Ayers, I believe. That has happened twice already, and our people are getting called. So we pretty much turned over the survey results to the county, and they're the ones who are registering our teachers randomly, and they're getting the calls, and they're getting picked slowly, but they're going. We've been receiving notice from our teachers that they were called, that they've received it, and so it's working. We will send another survey out this coming Monday to ask, have you received it, so we can take them off the list and send a new list to the county so they have, a more up-to-date list.
My only concern is 500, when you think about how many teachers we have in our area, is not a very big number. And for me, teachers should be first in line. And so if we need to do more as far as applying pressure or asking for political support, I know Representative Hunter has probably been involved in this discussion. I mean, I think there ought to be a bigger set aside than that. 500 at a time, we're not going to even have all our teachers done by the end of the school year.
No.
That's not right.
And I agree with you. We've had those conversations. I have to tell you that Commissioner Chesney has been a great help, and he's one who has been taking our list and making sure that our teachers get on that call list. But I agree with you, and have said that to not only our city officials but our county officials, that we need to do more for our teachers. And that's one reason why we brought that resolution forward, because I think we need to do the same for our county officials, is take that kind of resolution and express the concern we have that they're not frontline workers and they should be considered as such.
I'd really like to see us have an on-site Flower Bluff
On a
event
Saturday.
for our faculty and staff.
We hope that we can see something like that when it gets to the point like HEB and Walgreens, when pharmacies like that get the vaccines and start holding clinics at their level. I hope that we've already done that. Kim has reached out. Is she still here? Kim has reached out to our partners with HEB.
Mhm.
So she's working behind the scenes on making sure that we have that connection with them
Good.
and hope that when they get to that point that they'll consider doing that for us. But they haven't received that okay yet.
issue. It's all about supply.
Right. But we are trying, and I have to kudos to the team because they don't give up. And Linda Bargansky, also Dr. Bargansky and Kim work very closely on our COVID procedures, and that has been ongoing for the past 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
And hopefully the resolution will not fall on,
Deaf ears.
If you'd
Into a
like,
pile
next month I
somewhere.
can bring forward the one for the county and the city.
Okay,
There was another clinic today for teachers.
yeah, there was.
Yes.
So, last week kind of just went away out of the calendar period, but they're getting back on it, but it is supply and
Well, the storm held up a lot of stuff. I think they
That's
were held
what I
up in
meant, like-
Kentucky for.
It kept the vaccines frozen.
forget last week.
Oh, my goodness gracious, yeah. Okay, where are we? We are on,
11L.
we're on 11L. Let me get over here. Turn the page. All right, final approved resolution of the board regarding wage payments due to a future emergency closure of 5 days or less. All right, what do we need to know about this?
I have Louise on standby for this one. I would like for her to give you some background information on why we're bringing this forward. Louise?
Right. Well, like it speaks directly to what Dr. Needham was saying, that we value our staff and we want to take care of our staff. And the first thing that comes up when we have these emergencies is, oh my God, am I going to get paid? Am I going to get paid? And we truthfully can't say we're going to pay them until the board approves the resolution with the purpose for paying them. And so I have run our attorney, and he's looked at it and feels that it's a reasonable move. We give the superintendent the authority to close the school for an emergency. Our board policies establish that we desire to pay our people in the emergency and that we desire to give the front line, working to the peril through emergency, a premium pay. So all those pieces are in place, but the board resolution isn't in place. And so what we're proposing is that we have a blanket resolution for emergency closures that meet all those criteria, that we have a public purpose in continuing to pay them. And so there's always the public purpose to retain our employees, to support the ongoing operations of the district, to have a staff when you finally returned. And we put a limited of 5 days on it because we're looking at this resolution, to cover 2 days of freeze, a short flood, a short event, so that we don't have to come back to the board and we can assure our employees that they are going to get paid when we have to close during an emergency. And we do have to next month look at, if we want to move forward with this, look at amending DEA local. Bill recommended that we just have it say that the board will take action either before or following an event. And he felt that would cover that.
One comment, having read through the resolution, I support it, and I think it's the right way to go so that we don't have to deal with it after the fact. The comment I would make is 5 days, if you figure out how much money that is, it's a significant amount of money to the budget in Flower Bluff, because that's 80% of our money goes to wages. The way I read this is that it's 5 days per closure. And what that means is that it's kind of an open-ended amount that the board has pre-approved. It could be up to 5 days for the winter event. It could be up to 5 days for another winter event, so on and so forth. I'm personally a little bit with just blanket approval without any finite kind of end to it, without further approval. What I'm suggesting, though, is that it says 5 days in aggregate. And the reason is that would say you have the authority to pay 5 days, no problem, and most events should be less than 5 days. But let's just say we had a major event like a Harvey or something else. I think you need to come back to the board. And the reason is because I think that's a significant amount of money to our budget. And I think that may have been your intent, Louise. I don't know.
Yeah. Believe me, I had no anticipation of more than one of these events in any year. So I can appreciate that. Yeah.
We did have snow and a hurricane
Right.
here. I'd like to remind everyone.
Yes. So.
Water boils.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make a motion to approve the resolution with the amendment that it's 5 days in aggregate.
And do you want to do that 5 days in aggregate during any one school year? Or one
That would be my recommendation
calendar
at this
year?
point.
Yeah,
We can always
one school
change
year.
it going forward, but I think that gives you latitude.
Good idea.
Thank you, Louise.
Okay. Thank you.
So you seconded that motion. So it's Hooper and Morgan. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Very good. Okay, is that the last one? We've already done the closed meeting. Skip down to number 13, personnel recommendations.
I'll make a motion to approve the personnel recommendations as submitted by the superintendent.
Okay, so it's Hooper and Morgan. Sounds like a law firm. All in favor? Very good. That's okay. Calendar. I know we talked about just you're going to let us sign up for the stuff during Public Schools Week, and what else do you have going for calendar there?
Well, we have the Texas Public Schools Week, and then when you get to the superintendent's comments, all of the information that I have there for the strategic planning. So we'll start putting a calendar together and start sending those out to you.
Okay.
I know that, we were looking at 2 days back to back. So probably the week after spring break would be the first session, the Wednesday, Thursday, this next week, and then we have spring break. So
Right.
it's kind of short notice if we shoot for next week.
Yep.
For Wednesday, Thursday. So if we do the following, the week after spring break, that gives you enough time to think about community members that you want to bring to that session.
Mm-hmm.
And we can send out invites. So we're looking at, what week is that?
Week after spring break is the 15th.
Okay.
Week
So
of
the
15th.
15th. So you'll get.
In spring break, the 8th, week of the 8th. So it's the week after.
So we're
Yeah.
looking at the 17th and the 18th.
Anybody we invite is going to want to know details of, are you going to send us some backup material for
Yes,
that?
sir. I'll put together the information and have Monica send that to you.
Okay.
So that then you can send on, or you provide us their names, and then we can email them the packets.
I'd like to have that because that's going to be the first question.
Yeah.
What does this entail? What is it about? And, I'd like to be able to have those talking points and here have a copy if you'd like.
Got it. We did put another packet on your desk in front of you that had it was more of a 2-page document that had the perspectives listed. It was left on your at your chair. I like that one, but we're not at that point. So when I get to my section, I guess you want me to just go over it?
Sure,
quick?
go ahead. Yeah.
So the 2-page document has the why, and then for the strategic planning, why we're doing it. I think this is a good document to share with them. So we can send this to you electronically as well. The how we're going to do this, and then the final product, everything that we're going to bring together, is we're also talking about listening and learning tours, and you will be able to take part in that as well. And the listening and learning tours with the superintendent and board members, we actually schedule meetings with different departments and at different schools to have a listening and learning discussion. And we would meet with department heads, we'd meet with teachers. I'm also forming a student advisory council at the junior high and high school. And so board members would come and visit with the students, myself, and the principal. And we'd have the same type of discussion with our students as we're having with our employees. And so all those dates I have to lay out and then have you all tell me what dates you want to participate in those events. Okay? So it'll all come together, but in the end, we will be forming our strategic product that has these 4 perspectives. If you look at the bottom of page 2 there, perspective 1 is, of course, student success. Perspective 2, our next most important resource, our faculty and staff. And then perspective 3 is our external customers. So we'll be, community and our parents. And then perspective 4 is the work effectiveness and efficiency. So those are the 4 areas that we will be concentrating on as we go through this process. Okay?
Good. I like this.
Yeah.
I do.
Concise for change.
It's like,
so much,
I like
of the strategic planning stuff, especially when it's coming like from TPA or FASB.
Okay. All right. Agenda items for March. Remember, board members, you may submit those requests. Give everybody plenty of time. Our next one is same date, right? March 25th.
Yes.
I love February and March because I always know what's coming up on what day of the week. They're always the same. Okay. Any other announcements from superintendent?
No, ma'am. I just have notation that we're to bring you current class size numbers in March, and then AP criteria. Did you ask for AP criteria?
I asked if we do have a criteria for getting in or an exit plan or something. And the training, I think I'd like to know about that too. I know what it was before because I've done it.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's still something that we require, what it looks like, when it takes place. It used to be a summer thing, but thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that very much.
Okay, so I have those 2 listed.
Okay. All right. I think we're ready for remark. Jeff already did his, I'd just like to say. He did an excellent job. Mr. Morgan, I'm going to start with you tonight.
I'd like to thank the board for the cohesiveness that we're showing as a group, even though that we have different ideas and different opinions, dialogue between us is always about what's best for the students in the district. I got really good to love working with you. In Belmont, I so enjoy working with you and your leadership, and looking forward to the rest of this year.
Thank you, sir. Likewise.
All right, well, I applaud everybody for making the hard decisions about last week and knowing what was right about the loss of just essential services and utilities. And I know that was tough. Nobody wants to make those kinds of hard decisions, but it was something that had to be done. And let's just put that behind us, move forward, complete out this year with just a cheerleading excitement, and go from there. So thank you very much. We'll see you next month for sure.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
A couple of times next week.
Yeah, right.
2 or 3 times.
I know it seems like there is a big initiation for the new superintendent.
Always.
Always.
Yeah. So thank you for handling it all last week. And I really liked Jeff's presentation. And I think we could sometimes take it for granted, this really little awesome area that we live in. And it would be neat to really take advantage of that with the students. So, but thank you, everybody.
I can't add to it other than thank you for all the work you did and to get us to this point in the year. And I'm looking to, as they were saying, finish out the year with a bang. Hopefully not the kind of bang as last week, but no, I think things are on the right path. I think they're going the right way. I think we need to continue that path. It's going to take some hard work, and it's going to take hard work on everybody's part. So we're ready for that.
Dr. Needham.
Did anybody else here wonder why on earth is Jeff an attorney?
I know.
I know. I didn't know any of that, and I'm like, good gosh.
Students that David Bartley sent off to University of Texas at Galveston, and how many of those people got their marine science degrees or oceanography degree, and they're doing something completely opposite. But I mean, that's how much he motivated, sparked those students. It was phenomenal. And Jeff wasn't exaggerating either. When he passed, his students from all over the world came back.
That's true.
To Fort A. And he was that kind of a teacher. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was a great presentation, and I like the idea. No, thank you. You've hit the ground running, and so far just doing amazing things, moving us forward and dealing with emergencies and all that. And thanks to all our administrators and teachers and our staff for all their hard work. And gosh, most difficult year I'm sure we've had in the history of this district, maybe other than Depression era. I don't know. But everybody's risen to the occasion. But I do want to say once again, I mean, I think we have to go to every possible length to get our teachers, anybody who's in contact with students, not just teachers, immunized, because it's not fair for them to be there taking those kinds of risks. And I think that shows their dedication that they're willing to do it. So thank you to them.
And I want to point something out before we leave tonight. For those of you who didn't see the pictures of the building project that the construction trades class built, it was really wonderful. Built it over, I think at the baseball, and my grandson was in on that. He is so proud. He has changed his whole line of thinking about the direction he wishes to go. He was really bent on law enforcement until now. Now, mind you, my husband has been trying to get any one of those boys to follow in his footsteps, but whatever Coach Graff did, it made a difference. Well, they built that, and now he wants to build a deck for me. I'll let him pay for it. And I know that we're looking at a plumbing class next year. That's great. Is there any way we can work in electrical? And I'm very serious about that.
There is a way to get electrical.
Okay, because if they can get all of those, wow. And that's what the board has been asking. We want it back in the district, on campus, so that they are just doing it. I mean, for a 14-year-old boy who loves mostly baseball to just spend this amount of time, he never talks, but he's talking to me all about it. It's like, but it excited him. And I'm excited about it because now that those pictures went out, other kids are thinking, "Whoa, yeah, I'd like to do that. I want to build something like that. That looks like fun." And it is fun. And just like Jeff said, it's kind of a revival of what we came from, and that's what has always made us unique. And he's right. I'm so proud of him. I think he could be a teacher as well. He just stood up there and told us all about everything that's in his heart, and it fits with where we are. And I think it's going to fit into the plans and I'm anxious to get started on the vision. I'm ready to go. It's an exciting time. So thank all of you for everything you're doing. And I think at that point,
I do have one.
One more thing?
To do. Yes, just one more.
Yeah.
And I can't go this evening without thanking a lot of people behind the scenes that helped us last week.
Oh.
Don Youngberg and Ronnie Robles and Carlos Vargas and all our principals throughout the week were coming in and checking on the buildings and checking to see if we had any busted pipes and taking care of anything that they needed to. And, even our teachers were coming in to their classrooms to check on things. And, you don't see those people because they come in and out.
Yeah.
And so I want to publicly thank them for everything that they have done throughout this past week, and it continued this week with all the repairs. We couldn't open our schools without the work that these people do.
That's right.
And so I just want to publicly thank them for everything that they have done to help us get to the point we are now.
Yeah. I think we all have to agree to that. All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Welp.
Second.
And a second, Ms. Peters. All in favor? We are adjourned at 9:19.